Hello, YouTube. Good morning, everybody. All right. Just thought I'd share with you an interesting video that was shared to me by one of my viewers, recent new viewers, who actually bumped into me and shared with me his videos, some of his videos and some of the stuff that he watches and stuff. And one of the videos is from a guy by the name of John Jadea, which is a Thai guy. He's actually a Thai guy. And he did one of the TED Talks. If you guys don't know what TED Talks is where they talk about a bunch of different topics and they bring in people from throughout the world that are considered like experts on it. And I don't know if they're truly experts, but people look up to them. So they get invited to talk at the TED Talks and they share their perspectives. But John Jadea, interestingly, seems to share a lot of my my philosophies, and he's quite a following, and actually is doing what I was going to do. But now that I see that he's already doing it, I don't think I need to do it. And what I'm talking about is, living with less, and not making life so hard. A lot of people, sometimes my viewers here, think I'm not motivated and that I'm kind of lazy and blah 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 blah, and I can make a lot of money if I apply myself, and because I've got a lot of skills that I don't seem to be using. But the truth of the matter is, I kind of share John's philosophy about life, trying to make life not so hard. I grew up kind of poor in Thailand and was fortunate enough to actually come and get educated in the United States. To me, that was a very big deal. It was being able to come to be educated, because a lot of Thai people look at Americans or foreigners, as being highly educated and having access to technology and are just generally smart people. Because the country, America, seems to be fairly wealthy. A lot of foreigners aspire to come to America because they look up to Americans and think that Americans have all the answers, that Americans know, the best way, the way. And having lived here and throughout the world since 1974, that's when I immigrated to the United States, I've decided, or I've come to the conclusion, that maybe becoming more educated and knowing more isn't really the best way. And I know it might seem counterproductive or counterintuitive to say that knowing more and understanding things more actually works against you. But the reality is, it took me, how many years here? 74, 84, 94, 2004, 2014, almost 50 years, 46 years or so of learning and becoming educated has taught me that maybe being educated might not be the best. What I'm saying is not so much that being ignorant is a good thing, but when you become educated, and what I mean by educated is seeing the world and seeing how things are done and how things can be better, okay? Because Timothy, MoBang FoYoBucks, and I was just chatting on one of the postings that I made, sharing John Jadea's video on the Living in a Van Facebook group. But some of my happiest moments was when I was uneducated, when I was just a kid growing up in Thailand, and I was happy with the hand-me-down clothes that I had, and not even any shoes or anything like that, running around barefoot, playing and stuff, and just enjoying life. Clothing that I got wasn't even mine. It was clothing that I guess the churches, they have missions, and they send people overseas, and they put some money, and they brought clothing and stuff to give away to the poor, which we were one of the poor. And the way it works in Thailand is stuff gets handed down to you. So the stuff I was wearing, it didn't even matter if it was a boy's clothes or a girl's clothing. You were fortunate if you got something. And by the time stuff got handed down to me, it had been worn through by my brothers and sisters. I was like the fourth person down the line. But it didn't matter. I had a shirt and that made me happy. because there were other kids that didn't have a shirt. And it was because, you know, I just appreciated things for what they were and didn't really know that there were these things called brand names, and that even the year of the stuff that you get and the items that you have kind of defined how rich or how wealthy or, you know, how lucky you are or whatever. It was just nice to have a shirt to cover your back, or some shoes or something like that, and you didn't really care about the brand and all that. But when you become educated, see, you live in like a Western state, you get bombarded saying that, you know, just a pair of shoes or pants or whatever isn't good enough, that you need to wear some kind of brand name. And if you get like Calvin Klein, well, I'm dating myself here, but if you get like a brand name, you know, then it's something, and it makes you stand out and you're important. But when I was a kid, the brand didn't matter, you know. Even the shirt and stuff didn't really matter, but if you had it, you were fortunate. You were just blessed. You were more blessed than the average person. But what happens is, once you become educated and you think that all these brands and all these things are important, it becomes your pursuit. But the problem with brands and stuff like that is that you're paying for the brand. So the stuff generally costs more, which means you have to work more to get the stuff that you want. And instead of you getting a jacket, you have to get a jacket with a certain name or label on it. So you work, you know, 3-4 times harder to get that same jacket with the label on it. And it means that you spend your whole life working really hard for something that really doesn't mean anything. You know, if you think about it, a jacket's a jacket. It doesn't matter if the quality of the jacket could be better, you know, depending on the jacket type and stuff like that. And there's things to look out for. But really, even the quality, if you're just looking for something to keep you warm, and, you know, getting something that keeps you warm for free or low cost versus something that keeps you warm that you have to work 5 months for or a year for or whatever, I'd rather have the free one, or the one that only costs, you know, me a few minutes. Which might explain to some of you who don't understand why, even though I'm only working part-time, I don't seem to be pushing myself to try to work harder. And the problem is, you never reach an end. And you make the more money, and then you say, well, you know, I can afford the nicer ticket. I have to keep doing that because that's the lifestyle you become. It's paying child support. It's paying for me to live where I live. And I'm saving some money. You know, if I try to make any additional money, it's not so much for living, but for the future, for wanting to go to Thailand, to have some money so I can buy some land or something. So what drives me right now isn't so much earning money, you know, as much money as possible, but just doing good enough to get by, and also good enough to try to reach my plans. So I guess what I'm is that really what should be defining your goals and stuff isn't so much, you know, the best job that you can get or anything like that, but the job that's good enough. And that's been my philosophy all along, which is why you see me like right now living in kind of a beat up RV, but it's good enough. You know, it has electricity, running water and stuff, and keeps me warm at night. You know, I have a nice bed that my viewers have, you know, Connie basically paid for. So I'm pretty comfortable. My kid can stay over on the weekend. It's not the nicest view or anything like that, but it's good enough. And for me, this is a temporary situation anyways. So, you know, I don't feel a need to really go out of my way to try to get into like computer engineering or whatever job that I do qualify for, even, you know, because it'll pay more. But the problem is when you have those kind of jobs, you end up having to change your lifestyle to fit that job. And my job right now, they kind of, you know, let me work and do the stuff that I need to do and then go home. I only work like 4 or 5 hours a day. And then I come back and I work on some side projects that may or may not produce money, but there's stuff that, you know, I'm interested in, as well as prepping myself for moving to Thailand and possibly having to live off grid. Not so much because I want to, but because that's gonna give me the kind of life I want, in the sense that I won't be pursuing, you know, paying a lot of money to have a house. I want to kind of build my own house for very low cost or for free, you know, using mud, dirt, wood, bamboo, whatever the resources are that are available at that location, which might explain to you, some of the experiments I'd done in the past where I was out living in the compound, building my house, from basically garbage. These were kind of experiments and stuff to see if I could do it and what would be involved and what I would need. And teaching me to basically look at the materials that are on hand and using those to build whatever I want, or need. So I guess my life right now is driven mostly by need, not wants. And I guess if you can live like that, your life becomes a lot simpler, and you're no longer driven by like brand names and things like that. But like if it's cold, you might need a jacket, but you don't need a brand name jacket. So anyhow, I thought I would share that with you. I'm going to provide the link on this video. I'll put a pin and maybe I'll put it in the comments here. I am going to do the drawing today. I know I was supposed to do it yesterday and I didn't do it. Got a little bit behind on stuff, but I did film an unboxing of the shower system, that I bought, that I was going to put in the store, but now I've decided I'm not going to have the store, because I've decided maybe instead of trying to earn more money for everything, I'll just live simpler. So you see, here's the philosophy now, okay? I kind of, after watching John's video, I'm like, you know what? He drives home the point. Even though I was practicing it, I can practice it even more by wanting even less. So if I can teach myself to make do with even less, then I don't even have to work as hard. And some of you are like, that's just plain lazy, Denoy. No, it's like this. Is your whole life meant to be working till you drop dead? Or is it meant to be enjoyed? Maybe work is supposed to be something you do so you can have shelter and food, but once you pretty much have all that and your safety, what are you really working for? I see a lot of people working their butt off and, saving all sorts of money and stuff, but they're not happy, or even in the end, they end up committing suicide or some crazy shit, and they had all this money. You see celebrities and stuff, and they continue to work up until the point they die. Or let's say they don't even commit suicide or something, but they get cancer or some health issues that take them out, and their whole life is spent working. And I know they might live like a lavish lifestyle and stuff. If that's what you want, I suppose it's worth working for. If that, for you, it's worth doing that. But for me, it's not worth it. I think I'm happy as I am right now. And looking at the situation right now, my big goal is to move to Thailand. So that's what I'm working for. And also try to raise enough money that I can buy some land there, and do what I need to do or want to do. And then I don't really have to work. But even John Judea, I watch him and he talks about, like, I watched some of his videos, not all of it yet, but I watched some of it, and he talks about, like, being self-sufficient, and then growing food in like 1 acre of land, and then having excess that you can sell for money. So, for some people, they might want to do that because they have to make the money, because they use the money to buy stuff. For me, I'm fortunate. I'm very fortunate in the sense that I have a pension from, America, from my job. It doesn't pay a lot. It's nowhere near enough money to, quote, live off. But if I manage to buy land and build my mud hut or whatever, what are my expenses really? Just food. I can grow some of my own food, but I'll have enough money left over that I can actually buy food from other people. So I don't even have to grow all the food. I might grow some food just to have some stuff handy that I can pick, like papayas and banana trees and things like that are going to be easy to grow in Thailand. But honestly, I could buy a lot of the food as long as, the inflation hasn't collapsed. So, my own thing is just to make it there, get some land and try to build my little hut where it's sufficient, And I do want some luxury items. I don't intend to live like primitive. I know some people say, well, you got to learn to be self-sufficient. That means, you don't need electricity and stuff. I plan on having electricity. Electricity is a nice thing to have. So, I feel fortunate that being in America and being somewhat educated, I know how to make electricity through solar, through wind, even from the earth itself. So I will probably have electricity, though maybe not enough to, run a full-blown modern house, but maybe one enough to light up at night and, possibly run some fans. Um, and then right now, like I decided to buy a clothes washer, believe it or not, for $15. I'm living where I could actually get a decent clothes washer and plug in with water and stuff like that, but I'm trying to go minimal in the sense that I want to go cheap. And, because like right now, where I am living right now, I don't really have to wear too much clothes other than work clothes, and I have to wash those. But taking them to the laundromat costs me about $6 each time. So $6 every week or so. So that's almost $25. Let's see. Yeah, about $25 a month in laundry fees. So buying a clothes washer for $15, it's basically one of those USB ones with the little spinning fan that circulates the water. So I'm going to try that out. I ordered it through Alibaba and hope to get it, and then I'll be opening it and doing an unboxing on it and showing that off, just like I'm doing with the shower. I'll run the video here for members, for people who have joined the channel, and then later on I'll bring it live to the regular channel. The reason I do that for the members first is it runs without ads. So that's one of the benefits of joining, is you get to watch videos without ads. But you also help me, as far as try to get my finances straightened out, so that when I go to Thailand, my ideal system is this, basically I have some money coming in from my retirement, as well as hopefully, if YouTube is still around, making money on that so I can keep doing videos that show people how to kind of live simply, but not sacrifice comfort, at least some conveniences. I think a lot of people take for granted having like electricity and running water and things like that. In a place like Thailand where I might live, there may not be running water, so I'll have to create my own water systems. But at the same time, because I'm semi-educated, I would like to try to filter the water, to try to reduce diseases and things like that. So those are the kind of projects I'll be working on. And they're not like grand scale or anything like that. They're meant to be for me to live comfortably and not too much work. I think in an ideal life, really, work shouldn't be something you do for money. Work should be something that you do for basically just to stay alive, but it shouldn't be something that you do all day long. Like, to have this work day or work week where you work 8 or 10 hours a day or whatever, that is set by society. And when you think about it, like John Jadea's video, he talks about how he works so hard and then he doesn't have anything to show for it. It's like you work your whole life. He says, like, he was talking to some of his friends, they work for like 30 years, to get enough money for a house. 30 years of working. And then, even then, if you live in a society where, the bank owns the house basically, and then you pay them off, if anything happens, you could lose that house, which is what happened to me. I lost my house. I was like 1 year from paying off my house, and I lost it, became homeless. So it takes something bad to happen and you can lose it all. But his philosophy was, maybe he built his own house in like 3 months or whatever, so then he owns that house and he can live in it in peace for more than 29 years without having to work. So that's the kind of attitude. Now, obviously, the house that he builds may not be as fancy or as nice as the one you would buy that's commercially available. But I think it depends on how much you're willing to put in. I guess if he really wanted to, he could work more and make more money to buy the parts that he would need. For me, I want a house that's built off available products, like dirt, mud, and wood, and twigs, and things like that. But I know some of you are picturing like a little mud hole, like I'm going to live in a mud hole or something. I'm not picturing that. I'm picturing that as the materials, but I may splurge because I have a little bit of money, from my retirement and whatnot, that I could buy some stuff like drywall or paint or things like that, so that it won't look like a mud hole. It should look more like a nice house. And if I have my way, it might even look like Star Wars, with remember how they lived out in the desert with the dome mud houses and stuff like that? It might look like that. I don't want it to look like shit, basically. I don't want to live in a mud hole. I want to live in a nice looking house that I build. And, like I might even build in a jacuzzi, so when I'm talking about a mud house, some people are thinking, he's going to live in a dung hole. I'm planning on having it nice with electricity and maybe fans. If I build it out of dirt and I build it into a wall, into a mountain, or I build it into a mound under the underground, then it's going to be like it's going to have a consistently warm, I mean, cool temperature. It's not going to need air conditioning and stuff. And I plan on doing it with ventilation to blow through so you get a breeze, and using natural light when possible. Possibly even using things like fiber optics and things like that. And you're like, those are kind of expensive. Yeah, that's what I would spend my money on, is some of the more expensive stuff that would make life a little bit better. But at the same time, I try to use like natural stuff like natural light, natural wind, natural circulation, and things like that. So I've started to design that right now. Looking at John's video about, what you could do with 1 acre of land. If you had that, you could have your house. You'd want a pond so you could have like fish in it. And then he was talking about like the kind of gardening, like growing stuff. So like in a 7-day, 10-day cycle or whatever. So you could have harvested every day. Like you have Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday for harvesting the same item, so that you always have fresh food. So I'm watching some more of his videos, and we'll share with you some of my own ideas. I've already been doing it already, so it's interesting to see somebody that had pretty much the same ideas. He's been preaching this for more than 10 years and has like a course that he teaches people how to do this. I'm going to read some of the comments. MoBang says, mosquito net is a must in Thailand. They will eat you alive at night. Yeah. MoBang says mosquito nets. The thing that I would do in my house, in Thailand, you normally have over the bed, you have those covers, the white covers that are mosquito and no-see-um proof. So you sleep with that over you, so you don't cover the whole house. But if I was building a house, I'd probably seal it pretty well. Those would be some musts, like, even though it's like a mud hole, I might splurge and get a real window, real doors and things like that. It costs money, mind you. Just because I'm saying I want to live simple doesn't mean that I want to live, like I said, in a mud hole, even though I'm planning on making my house mostly out of mud. But I want it to be nice, and I want it to be comfortable. And maybe even with the mosquitoes, I might use the mosquito zappers and things like that, which would be Western ideas with using electricity to kill the mosquitoes or whatever as they fly through, or maybe using sound and things like that. So it's good to have some knowledge, but not be driven by it, if you understand what I'm saying. Like, instead of I was looking at like portable clothes washing machines, and they had some that sell for over $100, $150, $200. And they're nice. But they're like bucket size, and basically they spin, and your clothes get washed that way. And then to dry it, it has a spin cycle which spins the water out. I'm like, well, for $150, I could buy a used real washing machine that'll do a better job, I think. But because I'm in the RV right now, I'm trying to do space, tiny space living. And some of the stuff I'm trying to get here is stuff that I could use in Thailand potentially. In other words, I want to take technology from China or from the United States or wherever they have the cool gadgets, and I want to test them out here and possibly ship them to Thailand if they don't have them in Thailand. And that way, when I'm there, I'll have a washing machine that runs off USB, assuming I'm testing it all here now. But the stuff I'm talking about could be even done here in the United States, even if I'm stuck here and can't get to Thailand, So either way, it's good. The reason for me wanting to go to Thailand now, when I look at it, if I could buy land in the United States somewhere, I could probably do some of this stuff if I buy it in a remote area. And, could possibly even live like that here. But it's a little bit harder in the United States because of all the regulations and everything else. But in Thailand, if you're out in the boonies, they kind of leave you alone. Nobody comes to mess with you out there, other than maybe the communists. So I don't want to live too close to the border where they're having skirmishes still, but want to live somewhere safe, but somewhere where the local government kind of leaves you alone. And maybe even help the local government with some projects like, if some people are saying, like, I could teach in Thailand, I could teach English, I could even teach computer classes, I can teach things like that. But if I do it, I don't really want to have to do it for money. I want to do it because I want to share the knowledge. But thinking about knowledge, and how it actually causes trouble for people, sometimes I think it might be better to leave people, quote, ignorant, you know? When I say ignorant, I mean like the Thai people that are there, they don't know a lot. So if you go and you help them with water irrigation systems, like help them to divert water and handle the mosquito issues and things like that, that might be helpful. But teaching them how to make a lot of money and stuff like that, which I thought of doing before, because like, you know, if you teach somebody English, that's a skill that they can use to make a lot of money in a foreign country. But the problem is, as they make more money, they start to want more, and then they're not happy again. So that's the problem, is when you start to know more, you start to realize that, you know, the hand-me-down shirt that you got that was handed down to your brother, then the other sister, and then the other brother and the other sister before it came to you, that's old and worn, and it's a girl's shirt. And then you're unhappy with it because you became educated. If you weren't educated, you saw that as a shirt that you had that sheltered you from the sun, you know, the hot sun. So I'm starting to weigh the value of education versus being uneducated, you know. And I think that being educated can be good, but if you don't watch it, like you look at social media, like I want to get political and stuff like that. People have died because they're so-called educated. You know, they got brainwashed. And I'm not saying left or right, but when you look at like political affiliation and stuff like that, people say, well, you know, I believe in this. This is the truth. This is the way. This is whatever. And I'm willing to die for this. That's being educated. But really, it's somebody telling you how to think, somebody telling you what's right and what's wrong, what's worth dying for and what's not. Whereas when you're uneducated, you just want to live comfortably. You just want to have a nice bed, a safe thing. You want to have your family. You want to take care of your family. Those are the things that I think you lose a little bit when you become more educated. Like, for example, just to show you how dynamics can work. You become educated, and then you're a parent, and then you see that your kid wants to go waste their life away because they just want to pursue having fun, but they don't want to settle down and get a really good job and become a doctor or an attorney or a lawyer or president or something important. You know, what makes those people important? What really makes them important? It's just a title that people give them, and then people tend to listen and follow them almost blindly. You know, when you think about it, the animals, do they really have like a bee king or a worm king or a snake king that everybody listens to, or a snake president? You know, the goats, do they have a goat leader, or do they just live day by day? You know, of course, some of these animals we raise for food, and being uneducated, they don't know that, so they enjoy their life until the last moment. So I guess that's what I'm striving for, and it's one of the things I've always been preaching from the beginning, where I say, you know, protect your heart, protect your mind. What I'm really talking about is what John Judea said, basically. Try not to let certain people influence you where you end up blindly following them, you know, and then they tell you that you're not happy, that you need to have that name brand jacket or something. Which, by the way, this is a name brand. I think it's a name brand. It's I don't know if it's like Northern Lights or Northern Harbor, some kind of brand. But I got it from Goodwill for like $5, $6, you know. So, and for me, I didn't get it because it was a brand jacket. I got it because I thought it was comfortable. It was light. It was a light windbreaker, and I liked the way it looked on me, you know. So that's why I got it, not because of the brand, even though it is a nice brand. I think it's an expensive brand, and I picked it up for $5. Anyhow, I'm going to go ahead and sign out. I am going to try to do the giveaway today for the patch, which I said I was going to do yesterday. Those of you who are members of the channel, who have joined the channel, I'll be running a video on my unboxing of the shower system. That'll be published probably tomorrow for the general public, but the members can watch it with no ads until I publish it tomorrow officially. And then I'm going to do a follow-up review to show you how that thing works or doesn't work. That way you can see it firsthand and some of my thoughts on it. But that's one of the luxury items that you can have, is like a pump that, you know, a portable shower system that can pump water. And you can even have hot water or warm water in it, whatever. But I'll show you how it works, and how I plan on using it. and my own thoughts on it. So until next time, everyone, take care. God bless you all. Please stay safe. Take care of yourselves. It is the weekend, the start of the weekend. I hope you have a safe and wonderful weekend. Take care now. Bye-bye.